皆さんまた来てくださってありがとうございます。ということで今日は木曜日なんですけど、今日上げるビデオは今週の FOX の前半はオスカーだったんですけど、オスカーと同じぐらい先週からずーっと問題にされていることがあって、それはバイデン大統領の例の失言で世界中がうわーってなってしまっています。っていうのは3つあるんですね。1個はレジームチェンジ、あとはレスポンドインカインって言って、ケミカルウェポンを使ってきたらこっちも使ってやる、同等の力で返してやるっていうような発言をしたんですね。でこれはすごい問題で、例えば向こうがじゃあ核兵器を使ったらこっちも使うぞになったらもう世界が崩壊してしまうんですよね。だからそういうすごく大事なことを失言として言っちゃったっていうことと、我が軍をウクライナに送るっていうことを示唆したのをダメだっていうことで、またこれも火消しに回っています。あとレジームチェンジっていうのは他国の政権を変えるっていうことだから、これもすなわち戦争を意味するんですね。であともう一個ある NWO 世界秩序ニューワールドオーダーって彼が最後に言ってるやつなんですけど、それは一部のエリートが世界を支配するみたいな意味があるんですよ。だからもう何言ってるのって、またこれもっていうのでまた批判をされているっていう、この、3つがメインなんです。みんなが話していますっていうことで長くなっちゃいましたけど、どうぞ。
For all the wrong reasons. The White House was forced to walk back some of the president's most stunning off-script moments. Take a look.
We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
If chemical weapons were used in Ukraine, would that trigger a military response from NATO?
It would trigger a response in kind. You know, but the Ukrainian people have a lot of backbone. They have a lot of guts, and I'm sure you're observing it. Look at how they're stepping up. Look at how they're stepping up. And you're going to see when you're there. Some of you have been there.
You're going to see when you're there, Harris, he says to the 82nd Airborne, as if suggesting they're going into Ukraine. That was walked back. The chemical weapons comment walked back. And then the infamous one, you talked about it on your show, of course, the assertion with Russia that we're for regime change. I mean, I feel like this man is going to gaffe our way into World War III if we're not careful here.
Or just gaffe our way into being obsolete. Mm-hmm. No one's going to care what we do, because it won't matter, because they can't trust what's coming out of his mouth, because every time he says something of substance, it would seem, even though it's, opposite of what everybody would anticipate inside the White House, they don't try to own it. They don't support their boss in a way that turns it into strategy. They don't turn it into a win. What kind of a team do you have around you, Mr. President?
We have a president, a commander-in-chief, that can't get his words straight. Right? Charles Cook writes, the standard should be excellence. For those apologists that keep saying, oh, it's endearing his gaffes. Oh, we know what he means. Oh, it's because he's impolitic. No, it's not. What? It's because he doesn't know his stuff. I need my commander-in-chief. I need the leader of the free world to be on it, to be educated, to be articulate, to be accurate and apprised of the situation. And the fact that what we are witnessing is a cleanup every time. It's like watching curling in the Olympics, right? Where as he goes and makes these gaffes, someone's behind him sweeping the floor. It's mind-boggling, because there are lives at stake, our security at stake, and unfortunately, I don't see an end in sight.
I know you're going to ask a really nice question.
Well, it's an important question, I think. Are you worried that other leaders in the world are going to start to doubt that America is back if some of these big things that you say on the world stage keep getting walked back?
What's getting walked back?
It made it sound like, just in the last couple days, it sounded like you told U.S. troops they were going to Ukraine. It sounded like you said it was possible the U.S. would use a chemical weapon, and it sounded like you were calling for regime change in Russia, and we know...
None of the three occurred.
None of the three occurred?
None of the three.
Mr. President?
You interpret the language that way. I was talking to the troops. We're talking about helping train the troops that are the Ukrainian troops that are in Poland. That's what the context. I sat there with those guys for a couple hours. That's what we talked about.
So when you said you're going to see when you're there, you were not intending.
I was referring to being with and talking with the Ukrainian troops who are in Poland.
And when you said a chemical weapon use by Russia would trigger a response in kind,
It will trigger a significant response.
what does that mean?
I'm not going to tell you. Why would I tell you? You got to be silly.
The world wants to know.
The world wants to know a lot of things. I'm not telling them what the response would be. Then Russia knows the response. Now's the time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there.